immediately took up his axe and was ready to cut the three scumbags himself. The neighbor, Wei, saw the strange behavior of the old man. As a police officer, he immediately noticed something was wrong, so he hurried up to stop the old man. He asked him what had happened. After hearing the story, Wei persuaded the old man to go home and wait, and promised that he would handle the matter himself. Then Wei gathered the police force and quickly touched the three scumbags' nests. The captain rushed forward with a stick. He picked up the gun and broke in directly. The gang members had never seen such a thunderous event. They were so scared that their souls scattered, and they couldn't get up. Before the trial began, the three scumbags confessed everything. After a friendly communication, the police searched the room for the blood-stained bedsheets. Faced with the iron evidence, the three scumbags could only bow their heads and confess. They saw that the villain was about to be executed, but when the captain was about to order the arrest, the chief actually brought people here. It turned out that one of the three villains was his precious son. Faced with the pressure of the top superior, the captain still did not give in, and even exposed his dirty tricks to cover up his son in public. But even with the iron evidence in front of him, the chief still used the law as an excuse and forced him to reopen the case. The old man did not sleep all night. He could never accept such an ending, but what made him most worried was the granddaughter's mental state. He locked the door and sat on the sofa all day. The old man comforted him gently, but his anger was getting worse and worse. Soon, the procuratorate called, saying that the three scumbags wanted to reconcile in private. The old man firmly refused. In order to seek justice, he decided to take his granddaughter to the procuratorate in person. At this time, the captain had been deprived of his power and could only scold him. He knew the chief's means too well and must have long been in contact with the procuratorate. As expected, the girl just stepped into the office, and the procurator gave a mischievous smile. He used a light kiss to ask for details, and forced her to describe her feelings when she was hurt. He also slandered the girl for having an impure motive. He accused her of coveting the chief's power, so he took the initiative to show up. He intended to blackmail her afterwards. In the face of such slander from the procurator, the innocent girl could not argue at all. After returning home, the girl's spirit collapsed. She locked herself in the bathroom and even thought about her own life. The old man was so angry that he cursed. He swore that he would make the scumbag who bullied his granddaughter pay the blood debt. But what made him even more angry was that the three scumbags who escaped the net were not only shameless, but also deliberately came downstairs to drink and celebrate. Remember, in the face of the scumbag's provocation, he was too lazy to argue. But there was murder in his eyes. But before that, the old man still held his last fantasy. He wore all the military badges, hoping to get justice from the procurator. But even in the face of the veterans who participated in the war for the country, the procurator still had no sense of respect. He just flipped through the files, indicating that the evidence chain was missing and could not be convicted. Even after the file was put together, he did not forget to teach a few words. Let him go back and take care of his own child. Don't always cause trouble for the country. The old man was furious on the spot. He cursed the procurator. The procurator was a pain in the ass. Although it was expected to be such a result, the old man was still heartbroken. The country he fought to protect did not expect to be so corrupt. But this also made him completely out of his mind. Since the law could not punish the villain, he had to end this blood debt himself. He was not in a hurry to go home, but sold directly to the bank. He used the old house in the countryside as a mortgage and got a $5,000 loan. When he just got home, his granddaughter rushed into his arms. It turned out that the old man had gone to see the procurator, and the procurator visited him on purpose and left a large amount of compensation. In an attempt to use money to completely seal this case, this kind of insolent insult instantly ignited the anger in the old man's chest. He came to the procurator's house on the spot and smashed the dirty banknotes back into his face. The next day at the table, the girl told her grandfather that her aunt had just hurriedly sent the key and said that she was in a hurry to leave for a while, hoping that the old man could help take care of the house. This sentence slipped through the mind like lightning. The old man took the key from the wall and walked towards his daughter's house. The scene in front of him confirmed his guess. The three scoundrels lived opposite each other. In just an hour, the old man was convinced that this was the perfect killing spot. So the next day, he took the tool and lied to the girl that he was going to turn the ground. With the skill of turning around, he came directly to the black market. When he saw someone holding a real gun, he immediately jumped forward, asking if the other party could get the real guy. Although the snake laughed at him, the old man did not look like a killer, but greed still drove him to cross the bridge and contacted a Ukrainian arms dealer. When he learned that the old man was a veteran on the battlefield, the green face on the seller's face instantly closed his face. He testily asked the old man who he wanted to kill with a gun. The old man did not hesitate to answer that he wanted to kill the three scoundrels. They covered the old man's eyes with a black cloth and brought him into a secret air raid shelter. After a careful selection, he finally chose a Draculov sniper rifle. Unexpectedly, after decades of silence, the old man's gun skills are still excellent. Even the arms dealer standing next to him couldn't help but look at him again. When the old man went home with a secret gun, he accidentally heard the laughter of a woman in the house. It turned out that his daughter, who was not angry, came back. Faced with such a daughter, the old man had no choice but to sigh. But he did not come back for the injured child, but heard that his father sold the old house and planned to come back to share a cup of soup. When he learned that the house was just a mortgage, he immediately complained to his father why he had to refuse the compensation money from the director. That was the money exchanged with his daughter's innocence. His father had no right to decide for him, so he lost a lot of money in vain. The old man got angry as soon as he heard it. He took off the new clothes his daughter had just bought and drove the daughter, who was blinded by money, out of the house. Although only the two grandchildren were left in the family, the wheel of revenge had turned in the old man's heart. He took advantage of the night to send the gun to the top floor. The next day, he came to the tree like usual to watch his friends play chess. On the surface, it seemed that he had walked out of sadness, but his eyes were staring at the opposite window. Seeing that the game was in a stalemate, he hung the milk on the tree and sneaked into the top floor of his daughter's house. He quickly picked up the sniper rifle. A hunt for scumbags was about to begin. One of them was holding a champagne with his leg, and the old man decided to take the shot. The bottle of wine exploded into pieces. Huang Mao screamed on the spot and lost his ability forever. The old man calmly put on his coat and picked up the shell that had fallen on the ground. When he returned to the side of the game was not over yet, and the ambulance arrived soon. Seeing Huang Mao's miserable state on the stretcher, the left and right cameras immediately surrounded him and mocked him without hiding it. They said it was his retribution. And the real director of this accident was standing quietly outside the crowd and enjoying his masterpiece with pleasure. But the champagne explosion was too strange, and it also involved his precious son. The director had to personally go to the scene to observe. When he saw the hole in the sofa, he seemed to smell a strong bad smell, and the old man's revenge plan had reached the second stage. He repeatedly repeated the last step, came to the familiar top floor again, firmly put on the sniper rifle, and locked the short hair in the car. The guy was showing off his new luxury car and listened to the moving music. The old man's gun was slightly moving, and he locked the gas cap with his heart. He fired a shot, and his face swallowed the whole car. The short hair screamed and rolled out of the sea of fire, but the fire on his ass could not be extinguished. The neighbors around him were in dismay, and most of them were laughing. Only the police officer, away, showed a strange look. His eyes pierced the crowd like hawthorns and locked the old soldier behind the crowd. Under the gentle company and guidance of the old man, the girl's inner darkness was dissipated by the sun. He began to try to embrace the world outside the window again, but the old man was in serious doubt. He began to ask if his way of revenge was right, and the police carefully inspected through the traces of the scene and confirmed that both strange accidents were caused by the sniper rifle and the key functions of the victim were deprived. This is not a coincidence, but a carefully planned retaliation. As for the hand behind the scene, the direction was also extremely clear, and it was almost certain that it was the old soldier. The director solemnly warned his son not to step out of the door during this time, but to stay away from the dangerous area of the window. He heard that the old man had a sniper rifle in his hand, so he quickly pulled up the curtain and then crouched on the sofa. Away did not want to see the old man getting deeper and deeper, so he came in person to try to persuade him. Knowing that the old man happened to go out, he began to carefully observe the setting inside the house. A string of keys hanging on the wall instantly caught Away's attention. He took it in his hand and began to think carefully. The girl explained that it was the key to her aunt's house, and the clear floor markings on the key made Away instantly remember everything. So when he left, he took the key without hesitation. That day, the director came to the old man's house with his men to search the house. They searched every nook and cranny, but they didn't find a trace. The director had no choice but to do it. Just as he was about to leave, the girl's aunt happened to appear at the door. She was trying to get her own key. The old man was so worried, but he still couldn't hide it. He could only take the director with him to the secret place where he shot twice. The director looked out the window and determined that this was the shooting location. If it wasn't an accident, the gun must have been hidden in this room. The old man's nervous forehead was sweating, but after a thorough search, he only found a roll of blank paper. Although there was no evidence, the director was still very sure that his judgment would never be wrong. It's you. I know it's you. And here's what I'm going to tell you, People's Avenger. If anything happens to my Vadim. He wanted to warn the other party, but before he finished his words, the old man told him calmly that it was too late because the retribution had already come. The director was so scared that he was afraid that his son would be in trouble. He ran to his house, but there was no response. So he took out his own gun and tried to break in. But as soon as he was about to shoot, a bullet hit him from the door. Under the extreme fear, his evil son had already collapsed. Ambulance. Gunshot wound. Area of Freedom 12. Apartment 4. This is not a psychiatrist. There's another one. Looks like he moved. The bad guys finally tasted the bitter fruit they planted. The old man's road to revenge has finally come to an end. But there's a question that's always on his mind. Where did his long gun go? A few days later, his neighbor invited him to his house and revealed to the old man the hidden truth. As a police officer, he had to take down the dangerous weapon. But as a person, his conscience asked him to erase all traces of the old man. How to live? He raised his head and poured a glass of strong wine. A melodious melody flowed into his ears again. It was a girl singing with a guitar in her hand. She sang the Soviet song that the old man loved most. The melody of the lonely hand flute sounded. The old man could no longer be cured. Tears fell silently. As a former Soviet soldier, he had fought in the Great War for the country. He made great contributions to the crusade of fascism. But now the Soviet Union has become a thing of the past. In the year of the hammer, he struggled in confusion and humiliation. Even when he was wronged, he could not find a place to stand up for him. He never regretted the passion and determination of his youth. But deep in his chest, there was still a drop of blood, burning like a fortress, falling silently.